Alright, click the links to join the channel here over at SubScribeStar. If you're an SJW, don't watch the video, just block the channel because you're not going to dig it. So, Ncuti Gatwa does not sound like an English. Oh, he's not English. Who's this guy and why are they calling him Doctor Who? Says white Doctor Who fans are malfunctioning because of diversity casting choices over at BBC/Disney, who are working on this show. So here is Doctor Who doesn't exist in a vacuum. He does this interview where honestly, I don't think he's playing with the full deck. There's a lot of these people who are so far in this echo chamber of Frankfurt School type of nonsense that they just so used to throwing out buzzwords, and people are reading this interview and go like, you're just stating conclusions without showing an argument. None of the things you're saying make sense. But I guess do you think you sound smart or something, or you're just signaling to people these hot words that you're on their side? It's like, yeah, you're a gay POC who is given this position in Doctor Who. I'm sure people know that you're on their side. So he does this interview and he talks like a communist, and that might sound good if you're in an echo chamber with, like you in an interview, you're guaranteed to be with Bolshevik media, but it doesn't get people to actually watch what you're selling, which is a lesson Hollywood has seemed to forget lately, and Disney has got a long string of bombs. It's going to be interesting to see what Disney does in the future. So this idiot does an interview and he uses all these buzzwords talking about the marginalized and oppressed, whatever, and keep in mind, he's talking about a stupid TV show, but he sounds like he's some communist professor somewhere. The thing is, nobody really believes in all that stuff, but the useful idiot college kids who parrot all those hot words, except when you try to start asking them questions and they have a meltdown because they were never taught how to think. They're just taught how to repeat whatever their bullshit professors told them to be. The goal to teach 20-year-olds is to have a stimulus response, so they never kind of open the doors of perception. They want to be able to self-censor and get them to self-censor for. Someone described it as a scene in The Matrix. What was it, Agent Smith or something? And you can get 20-year-olds to shut down by saying certain hot words and phrases or asking them questions that causes a short circuit in their programming. And they said it's like an Agent Smith where he inhabits a body in the Matrix. He takes over a persona, and the person just goes blank and just starts repeating whatever the Bolshevik hot word is, and you try to get them to stop. You interrupt that stimulus response to get it to cognition, to get them to start thinking, but they have that emotional block because they've been brainwashed their whole life through globalist teachers and especially media. And the white pill now is social media and alt social media. We're able to get a counter message out there. Anyway, so this has got a lot of background to it because this stuff is not in a vacuum. Like movies, if you showed some of these shows to somebody 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, they would look at you and read these interviews like, what is this person talking about? This is just childish level argument by people who are coming across as pretty low IQ because they don't have to actually think. They just repeat things. So the thing with these buzzwords is that the Marxist professors who originate these Frankfurt School Bolshevism nonsense, they don't even really believe in Bolshevism as written. It's a tool used to destroy and enslave society. Only idiot teenagers and 20-year-olds actually think that socialism will work this time. Oh, and in the show, the trans thing is they really beat you over the head with the whole BLT stuff, where they talk to the doctor and call him a male presenting Time Lord or something. It's like, is he also a black presenting Time Lord? What does that mean? Male? He's a male. I mean, I shouldn't have to say biological male because he's a man. He's a male. He's male presenting because he's male. The other man in the show who's cross-dressing is also male. He's wearing women's clothing and it doesn't... Oh, well, no, you understand. It's more complicated than that. No, this is just Weimar. It's just... Yeah, and I was thinking it's not actually... It's more the Rat Utopia experiment mixed in because people are not quite starving yet. So the Donna Noble's beautiful daughter... You mean your son? No, I have to respond with violence now because you started to break my dream world down. So the purpose of the thing is what it does, and the whole thing with all these bullshit ideas they're pushing is they're designed to genocide the natives and replace them. Anyway, so this is the background for this stupid show. And it's why nothing is coming out, nothing that's coming out of Hollywood or wherever Hollywood overseas, nothing is working. And Disney's a great example because they are fully dialed. Bob Iger is on board this stuff. They're in an echo chamber that's built in a castle made of Marxist sand. It's all BS, and it only makes sense in their tightly controlled world where everything has to be. That's the thing with the left is they have to censor words and phrases, and they're very very controlling because it's all a fiction. And if you have free speech, it cuts through the fiction like a hot knife through butter. People don't watch a show because the actor thinks he's marginalized and oppressed and is just throwing around all these bizarro buzzwords. We don't care? Why would we care? Everyone is marginalized and oppressed? How does it make the show better? Are you saying like you just exist in a state of oppression? Does everyone on earth exist in a state of oppression? Or because you think because you're part of some protected class, you're in a permanent state of oppression? How does that work? Can anyone identify as a state of oppression? Do you ever have to prove it, or is that all bullshit from the start? Well, it's globalist manipulation from the Frankfurt School. So the things are words refer to concepts or things. And when somebody says Doctor Who, it refers to what was created as what it was when it entered the mind of the audience. And when you think of Doctor Who, you're thinking of these low budget sets the original Star Trek was right up there with them. Star Trek might have even had a bigger set, a bigger budget. You had an Englishman who was running around in a telephone booth, and people were in these horrible rubber costumes, and the little pyramid robots with toilet plungers. Those were literally toilet plungers, weren't they? Were I don't know if they were on strings and being just towed around, probably. So it was English. James Bond was an English guy in an English car, and he would ski down slopes, and with people with Uzis would chase him, and he would throw smoke grenades and ski over a house, and then jump into a car, some Jaguar or something with oil slicks, and you get the idea. They really did. It's really hard to screw up James Bond. It's like, just go back and set it in the 70s. Make every James Bond movie set in the 70s. So the thing is, when they call this new culture James Bond, he's gonna fight English terrorist groups. English? Oh no, don't worry. The next one will be German. How about Russian? Or maybe no. South African diamond smugglers. So all these people are going to be blonde hair, blue eye, aren't they? Yeah, that's right. That's right, Bucko. You're in England. You could have James Bond go up against another group that's causing issues. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, well then, everything is designed to fail, like everything in Hollywood. So when they call this new cultural Marxist propaganda Doctor Who, it doesn't make sense because Doctor Who refers to, the original Doctor Who. It should be English people. Instead, they have a mostly non-English cast. A black BLT plays the Doctor, and a Pakistani sidekick lady, and a mixed race couple with a gay POC son. And the two Pox guys are both. He's got a skirt. You can't really see it here, but they're both cross-dressing for some reason. So there's almost no English people in what was an English show. Doctor Who was a bunch of English people, and nobody cares about the gay stuff, the BLT, PV, TV, Q stuff. That's a very small audience, and people are moving away from that. So it's weird that you're doubling down on all that kind of nonsense. Even the LGB is the gays are splitting away from the whole QT branch because it's just too weird even for them, or they're LARPing and just for use it for this oppression points where you have just normal straight kids. I shouldn't have said normal. What do you mean normal? You have these just normal kids who are identifying like I'm queer and furry and otherkin. So I'm marginalized and oppressed now. Like, it's all fiction. I mean, until you're, and I think the gays and lesbians are saying like, yeah, until you actually, like, gay is a thing. It's gay and straight are attractions via sex, and to the far left, the bullshit left, that's too straight laced for them because it's founded in reality of sex-based attraction and the occasional same sex, but with the gender, it's like, oh, anything can be anything. It's like, no, because people just don't work like that. That's all bullshit right from the start. Anyway, Doctor Who was English people, not Nakata Gatwas of the world and whoever the other sidekicks are. But this show he's got the name Doctor Who, but everyone is gay, cross-dressing, and not English. So what is it? Well, it's just cultural Bolshevism. So this idiot does an interview, and he attacks the audience with these Saul Alinsky hot words, and, boo-hoo, ninja, we don't care. And he gives this interview, and he one of his lines is just nonsense. He goes, we do see a shift happening in casting and positions of power and status quo. I mean, not a fast shift, but you see people kind of malfunctioning because things are changing. There's so much white mediocrity that gets celebrated, and POC people, we have to be absolutely flawless to get half of that. Anyway, I'm slowly training myself out of that. You deserve love just for existing. Well, don't people of European descent deserve love also? You're not working twice as hard because you're given this role as a non-English person. It's bizarre. This, like, do you know what affirmative action is? And the D, this Klaus Schwab stuff, that means you literally have to be less qualified. You're not getting these things on merit. That's the definition of affirmative action, which is the whole Schwab die concept. None of the things you're saying are factually correct, and it doesn't take a genius to point it out. It's bizarre that they think they say these things when you're just given positions based on checking a box. It's just that easy. I say this as a trans, lesbian, black woman myself. The thing is, you'd have to fire everyone and replace them all with actual English people, or at least people who can pass as English, and get some pretty girls as a sidekick. I think one of the sidekick girls, was it a red-haired one before the blonde-haired one? It was, I don't know when that was, 10 years ago. I think she was Irish. I saw a little bit of that back on that must have been like 20 years ago, because that was back on the days of TV, I think. Here, people hate diversity, and you got to get more comfortable saying that to the extent the platform allows it. Honestly, my time on YouTube is pretty well limited. Most people are not globalists. They're nationalists, tribalists, ethnic-based, ethno-based, blood-based. The events of the past few years has made people move away from globalism to being very in-group preferenced, focused. You're seeing new associations crop up every day, and Hollywood is not on board with that. There was some show guy that did something about one of the active clubs. It's like some kind of Patriot Front type of thing, where it's just a bunch of guys who get together and go exercise, and like TV shows Hollywood tries to portray that as a bad thing, because they tell you what you need to do by what they're terrified of. You having in-group preferences is terrifying. Them having it is absolutely fine. It's like they're telling you what you need to do. Form groups. Anyway, people hate diversity and feminism and the whole BLT stuff. People are okay. I will say with the BLT stuff, and the thing is, diversity and the gay stuff, people are okay with a little bit of it. But it's just marketing to an audience that doesn't exist. Most people are straight. I'm probably safe to say 99% of the world is straight. That means attracted to the same sex, and they don't believe in this gender identification stuff. It just doesn't exist in our world because it doesn't exist in reality. Like, people are just attracted. You're just attracted to a vagina is what you're saying? No, I mean, that's part of it, but that's I mean, the things you're saying are just nonsense. Men like women. So having gay characters in shows does not make sense to us because we like the opposite sex and we're sex based. And the whole trans thing is, can I say it's a fad on YouTube? I told the SGWs not to watch. It's a fad. It's not going to last forever. There's going to be a lot of regret in 20 years when people look back at the, they're going to ask, like, why didn't anyone stop us from doing this? Like, well, you gotta. It's like a madness. What do you call it? A mass hysteria takes over, and it's taken over throughout human history. You would think people would learn from it, but when the schools and the mainstream media is controlled by the literal Bolsheviks, you're not going to learn the history, so you're just doomed to repeat it. So people are moving to the right, and shows like this and everything else coming out of Disney does not make sense. And this show will bomb like all the other dog crap they make, and then they'll do interviews, and they'll call the audience all kinds of istophobic and gay phobic and transphobic and POC phobic. And I don't think they understand that people don't care anymore. Those words used to have some meaning. I will say that calling people transphobic never really had much of a sting because like nobody believed in it. But all those words are losing much of their sting to the point because they call everyone phobic. You go, oh, well, you know what? We just need to do our own thing. It's like you want to make these shows for your audience. Well, the numbers are coming in, and they're showing that your audience is pretty small. And the thing is, we're never going to be able to replace Hollywood because Hollywood is industry that is completely captured by Bolsheviks. And it has such a high buy-in point in distribution that you're not going to have a normal entertainment company replacing it because the money involved with it is just too tied into woke companies. The BlackRock and Larry Fink types and Bob Iger. There's just too much money. You're not going to get in there with like an anti-woke Hollywood. But there was a time before Hollywood, and there's going to be a time after Hollywood. And if everything coming out of Hollywood is this toxic far left agenda, stuff like this in some small way, the Odyssey live streams, the Rumble live streams, we're making our own entertainment, not because we're so great at it. Though I will say some people on Odyssey, like Nick at Night Nation Reviews, pretty solid. Who's that guy? Devin Stack, I think he does Black Pill, does a live stream every 2 nights. He's really solid. We're rolling our own entertainment. Or John De La Rosa's got it on, I think he does YouTube Rumble streams. Because the mainstream is just so bad. It's all just a far left toxic woke talking points that nobody gives a darn about. And anyway, nobody's going to watch this. Oh, what does he say? Marginalized communities, when you see our politicians openly attracting trans people, do you mean criticizing them with words? That's what you mean, right? You mean words. It's scary to see. It's fine to attack vulnerable people. Well, how does a trans person is no more vulnerable than a straight person? They're still just a human being. They're all the same vulnerability, unless you're saying like because of their self-identified class that somehow makes them marginalized and oppressed. And in the Frankfurt School, that's how it works. They're trying to create these things. Oh, and then more. So marginalized, oppressed, the vulnerable, and disenfranchised, disconnected. So these are all just manipulative buzzwords. It's like communism is fascinating because it's like sociology. It's a way to manipulate people on this large scale. I don't know if there's too many studies on it anymore because universities were pretty much captured after the 1980s. And then he does this. I'm not sure who he's talking to. I think he's talking about English people or European people. He goes, it's sick because it's a hiding away of your own ineptitude. You're going to put the blame on immigrants, pox people, trans people, queer people. What does queer mean? To hide the fact that you're not doing anything for people? You're talking about a TV show. How does this relate to a TV show? I mean, here you're talking about politics. None of this is getting people, none of this sells tickets. None of this gets butts in seats. It's bizarre that you're so far in an echo chamber that you think this would. Anyway, join the SubScribe if you want to see the unfiltered type of things. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on next episode.